All right, so we've gotten the technology worked out. Group number 5.
Can I split screen here?
Not sure why it's
Okay. So we'll just focus on this screen right here, if you don't mind. So, good morning. My name is David Johnston. We are from Business Architect Solution, Group 13, and our presentation is going to be over the sexualization and marketing. And we'll introduce our group members.
I'm Jacob Bowman.
I'm Selena Vasquez.
Daniel Buthion. I'm Darren Williams.
I'm Misty Clark.
I'm Paul Balma. Lloyd Crownover. I'm Ryan Wilshire. John Courtney. Kyle Alley.
Melody Trump.
Kelly Tony.
Samuel Morgan. Excuse my voice, I think I'm losing it. So, as quoted by CBS News, experts claim that the average American sees anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 advertisements and marketing messages a day. With the American consumer being overly stimulated like this, one of the main goals for marketers has become to actually grab their attention. And one of the main ways they do this is through the use of sex. And so throughout this presentation, we'll give you a brief history of sex appeal used in advertising, and we'll go ahead and show you how the marketing sector has proliferated sexual themes in our society, how that might affect our society, as well as an emphasis on our children. Now we're going to go ahead to the history of sexual appeal in advertising. Now, the earliest forms of sex appeal used in advertising were actually used by tobacco companies. What they would do is they would include trading cards or little print cards with their cigarette packaging with attractive women printed on them. And perhaps a more sophisticated approach was Woodbury's tagline around 1911, "A skin you love to touch." As you can see from this print ad, the gentleman is obviously, he's staring at her. She is the object of his desire. And why would that be? That's because she used Woodbury's facial soap.
Another example of sexual advertising would be that of this 15-year-old Brooke Shields model who was obviously very provocatively stanced. And the tagline of her ad for Calvin Klein jeans was, "What comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing." So she kind of had that sex appeal and tried to capitalize on that. What? Oh.
You want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing.
Calvin Klein jeans.
So now as we enter into the early part of the new century, sex is being used in marketing and advertising more than it ever has been before.
Okay, this section of the paper, we talked about marketing strategy using sex in other countries. The use of sexual material is important to know that it's probably more effective in Western countries as opposed to other parts of the world, because in Asian countries, it's known that we hold more conservative values, and as such, when companies try to use explicit imageries in their advertising or in their marketing strategies, it often backfires, and countries such as these include Malaysia and Indonesia. I like how the executive of CK and Calvin Klein in Hong Kong says, "They're picking and choosing in certain markets, but the intent is never to offend." In the United Kingdom, direct marketing laws are established in the Committee of Advertising Practice Code. This code has specific rules about the use of sex within advertising. Advertisements that link sexual success or enhanced attractiveness to gambling, drinking, or smoking are prohibited, and companies who violate this policy will be sanctioned.
There's another form of sexualization, and it makes older women feel pressure to look younger and sexy and beautiful. The obsession to stay looking younger and youthful can also have effects on the person's health, having unnecessary surgeries and injections to make themselves look younger, make sure there's no wrinkles or anything like that. And then there's also some scholars who argue that the movement should be contested so that it can be stop hurting the people.
So the effects of hypermasculinity in print ads, when people think of sexual advertising, they often think of women or Carl's Jr. commercials, and what they don't realize is that men are often portrayed the same way as women in sexual advertising, often in deodorants or shampoo or underwear and swimsuit commercials, anywhere where they can put a man in something skimpy and really revealing, and an emphasis on his manliness. And there's 4 components of this hypermasculinity, and that's that violence is manly, danger is exciting, toughness is a form of just emotional control, and it's okay to be callous about women and sex. And the problem with this in marketing is that it's making our youth feel more okay to look at people in a shallow view, and it impairs their vision of what it is to be a man.
My section is about full-figure women and sexual marketing tools. Not all advertising uses size 0 models, nor do advertisers use women who are at the other end of the spectrum, size 18. The sexual theme in advertising puts a healthy size woman as a significant figure these days. An example of this is the Lane Bryant advertisements. Being a plus-size model, they use mostly the size models that they could say women with curves. On the other hand, Victoria's Secret mostly uses women who appeal to be a size 2 or 4, but they appeal to look significantly sexier because the brand is sexy. When the target audience views the advertisement, the women are used as a prop to sell the product. It is difficult to define sexy. It is because there are so many different types of sexy. Women who are labeled plus size 5 years ago are not plus size enough anymore, but women who are the size that are labeled anorexic or excessively thin are still being used as a functional sexual figure in advertising.
Okay, continuing on with this theme of full-figured women in sexual marketing, it comes down to pretty much objectification and how women's bodies are treated. The target audience can essentially start to view them as a prop, and it's just a way for them to sell their product, whether they're trying to sell a size 0 or a size 4, the woman is just a prop in that situation. I guess the bottom line is that it's really difficult to define what sexy is because it's interpreted differently by every individual that we know. So marketers try and find a specific audience and target them that way. Some examples, there's just oversaturation, Women labeled plus size 5 years ago, they're not plus enough now. And women who are size 1 or 2 are anorexic, like Paul was saying. So it's clearly an issue. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about how it affects children.
Advertisers may direct sexual content to adults, but children are also exposed to these sexual messages. Unlike adults, children are not developed mentally or emotionally to be able to appropriately process these messages. Even during the family hour, which is the first hour of prime time that is considered to be family friendly, children are exposed to sexual messages. According to the Kaiser Institute, an average of 8.5 sexual interactions are on television during the family hour. The Super Bowl is one of the biggest television events of the year and watched by adults and children alike. Between the burgers, cheese dip, and football, there is a plethora of racy commercials.
Continuing on the children and the sexual advertising, according to an article titled Children and Media, the television exposes children to adult sexual behaviors in ways that portray these actions as normal and risk-free, sending the message that because these behaviors are frequent, everybody does it. A spicy 2015 Super Bowl commercial shows Charlotte McKinney sauntering seemingly nude through a farmer's market with various objects covering her body. While these marketing campaigns might be directed at adults, there is a significant impact on children and young adults that must be considered.
Is sexualization in advertising necessarily effective? The studies have found that sexualization in advertising is not necessarily as effective as it may seem. The purpose of these ads, whether it's by magazine, television, social media, the purpose of it is to gain the appeal of the consumer. They are intended to lead customers to their products. They use sex in advertising because it attracts attention. For example, take Abercrombie & Fitch. They used to have shirtless models outside of their stores to entice shoppers to come in and browse around the store. For another example, we have the recent Carl's Jr. commercials. Not all of them, but a number show a very attractive female eating a massive, messy, and juicy burger while wearing some very risque outfit.
Just kind of reiterating on what Daniel said here, we've noticed doing other studies that other leading industries, they contain a lot of sexy imagery and a lot of that, but a lot of them don't really, ironically, have any effect or any, what's the word I'm looking for, relevance to their actual products, like hygiene or alcohol or weight loss medicine doesn't really have anything to do with sex. So to drive any of that advertisement seems to kind of mislead the product. And for men, beauty and half-naked women distracts him from the product and leads his mind to think more about the model rather than the actual product. Whereas women, we've noticed that they more drive to the context and the content of the actual product. Excuse me. And this I was supposed to show that women like to look at the red dots on here, the red dots in the pictures and everything, whereas men will kind of look at the green you'll see everywhere and about. Yeah, you can figure that. So yeah, women will kind of draw their eyes where about, whereas men will kind of be in the green area. Yeah.
And in conclusion, sexual advertising is everywhere. You see it, your parents see it, and your kids see it. In general, for the majority of people, it's not going to be a big deal. It's not going to affect you too many, even in your buying decisions. But for kids and maybe like people who have low self-esteem, it could impact them negatively. But our group, we didn't want to have a bias in general because there wasn't strong enough evidence to have a positive or negative bias towards this issue. We just wanted people to be aware that this is an issue. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I have questions. Not surprising. So there are a couple of things that I found that were interesting about your presentation that I wanted to comment on and ask questions about. So for example, one of your presenters said that there was an obsession with youth. And then another presenter talked about how there are different attitudes in different parts of the world. So maybe it doesn't play as effectively in, for example, Asian cultures. Do you think the youth tie-in, because one of the things that we do know in studying international marketing is that other cultures have a tendency, and particularly in Asia, to value not youth, but age. And so do you think that may be one of the reasons that it's less effective in other parts of the world that value age and view that as wisdom, not necessarily youth?
That is correct. In Asia, the age is very respected, and the youth, the age in Asia or other parts of the world want to keep that respect of the youth intact. So that's why the sexualization is not as big over there as it is here.
I also think they tend to be more censored and more modest.
Coming from a country like Malaysia, the advertising is filtered by a Sharia law. So it's very much religion-based. So your advertising cannot be offensive to your viewers in view of the Muslim country and their laws that we do.
Okay.
This slide right here, I tried to tie it up into the, or we tried to tie it up into the international versus the American side right here. We spent several man-hours trying to find other countries' advertisements and sex in the search bar. That's what we got for Saudi Arabia over there. This is as far as we got on Asian wearing Hooters outfits or the Indian advertisement up there. Whereas right here, this Belvedere vodka is, it is very sexy. I had another picture up there, but some of our wives did not agree that we should put that up there, but it's out there on the advertisement.
So you all said that this is, one of the things that you said was that it's leading towards a callousness towards women. Do you think that's spilled over into the political arena with Donald Trump? Do you think that our advertising has, in effect, lowered our threshold for what we're willing to tolerate, and it's even now becoming part of our political discourse?
That is, I do believe that. I believe that 100%.
So you think it's now, there was a time no politician would have ever said the things that Donald Trump says about a woman. And it's shocking to a lot of people, but a lot of other people say, hey, that's refreshing, he's not politically correct. He'll tell it like it is. I don't know.
I think that's another reason why some people are saying Donald Trump is more liberal than he is conservative, in my opinion.
You talked about the fact that you mentioned Carl's Jr.'s burgers and weight loss products, and one of you said that weight loss products are not necessarily congruous. So I agree with you. Biology by Martin Lindstrom, which I mentioned in here before, he makes an argument that sex doesn't sell. He says that what really sells is controversy, and the Calvin Klein ad with Brooke Shields and the jeans was actually very controversial because of her age at the time, and not the sex. I think that it does sell. I think that sex sells if the product is congruous with being sexy. In other words, if the product is something, obviously it works for Victoria's Secret because that is a product that is about sexuality. Calvin Klein jeans were meant to be sexy, and so I think it works there. I don't think it worked in the Calvin Klein or in the Carl's Jr. ads where it shows a beautiful woman eating a burger and it's kind of a mess, because there's nothing sexy about a big greasy hamburger, right? So I don't think it works there. But do you think that it does work? Do you all agree with my position that it does? And you can disagree. That would be a good debate in those areas where it should work. And I think weight loss is one of the areas where you might argue either way. Because I think people lose weight because they want to be what?
Sexy.
They want to be attractive.
They want to be attractive to their spouse
Yeah.
or to the outside.
And so I think, now, you could argue maybe the other side that weight loss is not really about being sexy, it's about what? It's about being healthy. Yeah, I
One of the
guess.
things I found in our research was that if the item marketed is a less expensive item, sex appeal doesn't work as well as if it's a more expensive item. People tend to be okay with using sex appeal if it's a more expensive item for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think that's right. It works well with luxury items. There's something almost sensual about luxury items that appeals to that, what we might call the Epicurean part of our personality. All right, very good. Good presentation. Thank you. Group number 6. Okay, where's the roll sheet? Right there.
Who's driving?
We got it. We got it.
There are more people alive today than have ever died. There are more people alive today than have ever died. That means there's over 7 billion people on this world today that can be marketed to. My name is Dustin Pexa.
My name is Hannah Kim. I'm Reiho Kadano.
I'm Javon Berry. I'm Drew Lee.
And we are Diversified Inc. Social media is a popular and widely form of advertising for business today in the computer age of society. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or any other networking site, users are being promoted to multiple times daily without even hardly realizing it. The company's Whataburger is a prime example of effectively using social media to advertise. The company's social media director utilizes humor to reach its followers. One tweet stated, and I quote, "If you try eating fries on our first Whataburger date, then there probably won't be a second." End quote. Other companies use social media strategically in ways of introducing new products or services with the caption or description right there next to it. The creativity is far from over, as nearly all major corporations seem to utilize these free accounts on numerous social media sites. Companies are deciding to use social media more and more for marketing purposes for many reasons, including the vast audience that social media reaches, the cost of social media marketing, and the amount of time users spend on these sites. Along with anything done in the business world, there's advantages and disadvantages of going that route on the decision. One advantage of social media marketing is that it provides companies can gather information that users upload to directly target specific groups of prospective consumers. For instance, if you were to follow a new mom page on Facebook, I guarantee you within a week you would see some sort of advertisement for either a diaper brand or a daycare center or maybe even a minivan model. Companies pay top dollar for information on people that these users are willingly giving up when using or creating their social media accounts. The companies will in turn use that information to promote their products or services to the user depending on if they are automatically categorized into one of those specific markets. Now, this brings up an ethical issue of companies investigating into people's information, but if these users make their accounts public, then technically it's public information. The future of social media marketing is questionable at the current moment. Users are finding ways to avoid commercials and advertisements from companies on social media sites, while those ones that aren't finding ways to avoid it are being promoted to more and more each time that they log onto these sites.
A little bit of what he was talking about, the more detail. For example, celebrities, they use social media all the time to market their products, and some businesses use celebrities to help them promote their products. And usually for a celebrity to be successful is to have a fan base or a target market group to market to. And right now I have an example of Kylie Jenner and Kim Kardashian. Everybody knows them. Kim has 65.3 million followers. Kylie has 56 million followers. That's like extremely a lot. And Kim Kardashian, she's actually promoting, or she's actually marketing Antonia's Secret weight trainer. And it's been really successful for her and her business. And the cost of advertising on social media is usually cheaper just because they already have a fan base. And the one thing about using social media, it could be misunderstood just because you get a product that's going to work like Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner, and it doesn't really come out that way. So it is some disadvantages to using social media to market a product or a service.
There are other benefits of using social media for business, including saving money in advertisements. The cost incurred in a company is something all business pay close attention to. This doesn't mean that advertising through social media such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram is monetarily cheaper than those traditional media resources such as television, radio, or newspaper. Then why do more and more businesses start to generalize their brand, product, or services through social media? The answer is simply that social media is much more efficient. According to the article, 33 Social Media Facts and Statistics You Should Know in 2015, the author states some interesting data. There are now 70.2 billion people on the planet of this, and of those, the following numbers make interesting reading. There are just over 3 billion active internet users, 45% of the world's internet users. Nearly 2.1 billion people have social media accounts. 3.5 billion mobile users have access to the internet through smartphones and tablets. Close to 1.7 billion people have active social media accounts. With this huge amount of social media users, all of them have potential of being customers of those businesses, which generalize their leads through social media. The link between social media users and the businesses is very close. Just like our comment through Facebook from a user can let all of his or her friends know of that single interaction on their own account's news feeds. Through traditional media, there is only one direction between business and consumers, output from business, input to consumer. However, through social media, customers or even potential customers can help business to generalize their brands or products by a simple click of the mouse. Whether it is normal users to business users, both of which are connected very closely throughout the social media world, which makes generalizing much more efficient and their target audience that much broader. Saving money on using social media for advertising is not just because it is a cheaper price, but because the efficiency of using it is that much greater. Huge amounts of users, fast information transfer, and lower entrance. All of this make the various social media outputs become the new favorite source of marketing, not only for small or medium-sized enterprises, but even for major corporations.
Today's society is already in a quick informative age where people can get rid of social networking
Certainly, social media can make one's life more convenient as one can share basically anything. But one thing many people might not know is that users are probably already at risk because people tend to share too much information. Just like Jeff Henning writes, as children, we are taught to be wary of giving out our name, phone number, or address to strangers. Yet suddenly, we are sharing that same information with millions of strangers on Facebook. It's true. Everyone who browses a user's homepage can obtain their name, phone number, and even one's physical appearance if the user decided to upload photos to the account. To some, this may not seem like such a big deal, but just in 2012, the Federal Trade Commission received 2 million consumer complaints and more than 360 identity theft complaints. Here are the states with most identity fraud complaints and how identity thieves attack your social media profiles. Because identity thieves only need a few key pieces of your personal information to steal your identity. This does not mean everyone needs to stop using social media right now, but when users are on a social media site, they should try not to share too much information about themselves, especially private or personal information. Most sites allow users to customize their accounts to make their accounts private, which makes personal information invisible to strangers. Other safekeeping features include security questions that can protect users' accounts from hackers. When users do not take advantages of these security features, and when they share too much personal information, it makes it much easier for hackers to steal one's identity.
Social networking at its very core provides beneficial features for the company who relies on this brand of marketing. In contrast, some websites may be accessed while in the workplace that is deemed objectionable and offensive in nature. And disadvantages of social media marketing campaigns can lead to security risks that are associated with this marketing strategy. According to the Society for Human Resource Management, when it comes to social networking within the business working place, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. Security concerns can be minimized by educational efforts by the organizations conducting the social media campaign. And careful attention must be paid in sites that are accessed and avoid suspicious links and websites to avoid viruses. And at last, a social networking usage policy should be established.
So, in conclusion, with any decision in the business world and just life in general, there are the pros and cons of each situation. The advantages to using social media for marketing purposes is wide range of audience social media extends, the cost of social media advertising, and the immense amount of time users are using this site each day. A few disadvantages included the security risk of identity theft and viruses or bugs that may interfere with the conduction of business itself. Social media marketing will be a primary form of advertising for companies, as if one was to compare the strategy to a product life cycle, it will still be in the growing stage. No telling how long this form of marketing will last, but it is hot right now and companies should jump on it as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, I have a couple questions. Experts now agree that it's not a matter of if your identity will be stolen, it's when. So what should we do? Should the government reissue social security numbers? For example, if your social security number is hacked through social media. One of the things that we looked at in the Akisi video that you all saw was that they were able to predict, using facial recognition, your social security number. It's getting faster and faster at doing that. Should the government reissue social security numbers if yours is hacked?
I feel as if no, because everybody is responsible for what they put on social media. So everybody should be responsible for any kind of personal information that they put on Facebook or Instagram, for somebody can easily get their information.
Even if you don't have a Facebook account, Facebook has 75,000 data points on every individual. Even if you have no Facebook account, that's what they have on the average American.
I think the process of reissuing a social security number would be hard and costly for the government. They could try with every baby being born, make it harder, including numbers and characters. That could be something to help reduce the amount of fraud that's going on right now, but that's going to change the whole system of how it works.
Okay. One of the things you mentioned that you talked about was the disadvantages. And one of the things that I think is a disadvantage of social media, obviously a lot of companies are using this now to avoid advertising expense. They save hundreds of, my own company that I own, we used to spend $2,000 a month advertising. We no longer spend any money on advertising because we do everything through Facebook and our website, driving people to the website and through our Facebook. That means that we're putting newspapers out of business. Craig is a philanthropist, people. He started this website. It's a creepy kind of website, actually, if you get on it, called Craigslist. And he makes money off of 3 categories of stuff. If you sell real estate in Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, or New York, you are charged a fee. Anywhere else, it's free to put your real estate ad. If there were personal services, he was charging for those. He's now taking those off. And the third category, I can't remember what it was, but there was a revenue stream. But everything else was free. That's basically put a lot of small town newspapers out of business. That means that a lot of local newspapers that cover things like city council races and things like that are in jeopardy of closing. What should we do to deal with that lack of information? I mean, is that a threat to our democracy at that point?
Well, technology's always been a threat to small businesses, just because of how fast the information can be received. So I wouldn't necessarily blame it so much on the site itself, just technology advancements in general. That's who I would blame for that.
So what should we do to make up that? I mean, to provide. So for example, one of the things that you see, and this is what we might call a tragedy of the commons problem, there are people that are not LinkedIn, that don't have access to the internet. It used to be that you'd pick up the Sunday paper and it would list for the week all of the new movies and stuff like that. Movie companies are now, theaters are saving millions of dollars a year by no longer advertising in papers. But there's a lot of people out there who then, if you were like my aunt, who's not at all technologically sophisticated, how does she find out about what movies are playing at different theaters?
I feel that she just needs to get educated on the technology because, that's just we're a world that's advancing.
Wow, moving to the 21st century. This is a little bit like the ancient Eskimos used to put their elderly out on the ice floe. That's what you're suggesting. Put people out on the technological ice floe.
And money's with the numbers.
Okay. All right. Very good. Good job. Thank you. Number 7.
I'm Nancy, and I'll be talking about how to improve.
I'm Brandon Albertson, and I'll talk about the legality of marketing.
I'm Brandon, and I'm going to talk about some of the downsides to marketing.
I'm Caitlin Mack, and I'll be talking about the pros of marketing.
I'm Clint, and I'll be talking about social media harvesting.
I'm Brandon, and I'll be talking about how marketing targets consumers.
I'm Christian Hernandez, and I'm going to be talking about content and mobile marketing.
I'm Devin Price, and I'll be talking about where marketing kind of originated from and the evolution of technology. As a society, we've kind of grown to demand or want information almost immediately. It kind of started as, why go ask your neighbor about something when you have an encyclopedia in your house? And it kind of moved from the encyclopedia, why look at a book when you have a desktop computer? And from there, why go back all the way to your house to look up something on a computer when a hand-sized, limitless database sits in your back pocket? So with this evolution of technology, we've also seen an increasing amount of exposure to what kind of advertisement we'll have, thus coining the term mobile marketing, or short, M-marketing. M-marketing specifies targeting mobile devices to fill that void where conventional methods fell short, such as billboards, newspapers, sides, the sides of web pages where you'd see a banner for certain advertisements.
So what is mobile marketing? What is marketing overall? Marketing used to be to transmit information about a service, product, or idea when it was introduced into the marketplace. But now the cell phone has revolutionized marketing and how it's introduced and presented to the consumer. Mobile marketing is marketing with mobile devices such as smartphones. Mobile marketing can provide customers with time-sensitive locations, personalized information, that promotes good services or ideas. Contrary to popular belief, marketing has not always been on a smartphone. It used to be on personal messages, SMS messages when it was first introduced, and it was started overall over Europe to promote in-app services such as games, weather reports, news reports, but that has shifted to more in-app purchases, such as apps advertising either similar products or another product they might want you to add. One of those new interfaces how marketing is being introduced into application is probably Snapchat. Snapchat is doing filters where your companies can buy advertising and promote different companies, products, or ideas, which has severely changed the marketing and advertising field. Thank you.
Okay, so how marketers target consumers? There is 3 ways to do that. The first one is mobile advertising. They use mobile advertising since smartphones are based over their computer industry, and it allows them to target a wider audience. Another way marketers target consumers is through advertising to products that go hand by hand. For example, ice cream and ice cream scoops. And the third way is marketers also use social media to gather data on consumers that they might not obtain through other methods. This allows them to point specific ads toward certain consumers, while also allows them to save money.
So Facebook, emails, phishing, and social media harvesting are all kind of the same thing. Whenever you sign up for a Facebook account, of course you have to put in your email address, your name, and all that stuff. And the way that the companies work is they have large data centers and even independent people where they do studies such as elections and discussions on Twitter. What they do is they go and find different categories of people, what they're talking about, name, location, gender, and any time you post something or share something, it all goes into a database under different demographics, and they sell these things to different companies such as Facebook. They purchase and sell this information. And like I said, when you put your email address in anywhere, with the exception of a few companies, usually they're going to get millions of people signing up, and they're going to take your email address and they're going to sell it for 10 cents, maybe 5 cents or whatever. And then you're going to check your spam box after signing up for Facebook, and you're going to see 50 new messages if you just got that email address. So there's actually a company called Social Harvest, and their website is socialharvest.io. They've been around for a little under 10 years. They used to be a private exclusive company, and they sold their services to Facebook and Twitter to do social media harvesting, but now it's an open source project, so someone like you yourself could go sign up, and actually, if you had a team, you could actually do that. So it's not just up to the big companies now, it's even smaller entrepreneurs and even individuals and government agencies that are doing this.
So the pros of in-marketing is that it can be part of a pervasive electronic presence that senses and responds to not only who the customer is, but where they are and what they're doing. And marketing can add value to the customer experience by their demographics, behaviors, and also by their real-time location. It will give customers tailored messages and information at the point of need. Most people have cell phones, so if you're out shopping, a lot of times you can get coupons right on your phone if you get your paper ones at home.
I feel like I got a little bit lucky with my slide because, especially from the consumer standpoint, the downside of marketing is pretty obvious. It's an invasion of privacy. Legality is also a big issue. A lot of times the methods used for attaining your personal information and getting that advertising to you are actually illegal. The problem is it's hard to prove, and pursuing any sort of legal action is largely pointless. This means marketers have no real motivation to not break the law and acquire your information or keep using these aggressive tactics. Though there has been some legislation, there is no text message version of the do not call list. So you as a consumer can combat this in a few obvious ways. You can turn off your push notifications and your location services on your apps on your phone. You can clear your browser history regularly, and you can block numbers. From the marketer's standpoint, obviously they hope you're not that diligent. One of the biggest challenges, and as far as downside for marketers, there's not a whole lot. It's really cheap advertising, like we were just discussing. The biggest challenges for facing marketers today is just staying ahead of the curve, whether that be creative advertisement placement or the development of new apps and maintenance, and maintaining two different websites because you've got a desktop-friendly site and you have to have a mobile site.
So the laws on this are cloudy. The first gap in the legality of marketing is legislature just can't keep up with our technology, the way we're moving. It takes too long to pass a law, and by then new technology has come out. An attorney at law named Gonzalo Mon, he works for the law firm Kelly, Dryer and Warren. He says, and I quote, "It's rarely easy to figure out how old laws will apply to new technologies. So when marketers experiment, lines will be crossed, legal cases will arise, and the legal landscape will change." So, just like other forms of marketing, with this, companies have to fully disclose their financials. The best that could come from full disclosure would be the end deceptive footnoting, which is basically putting on the bottom of financial statements, you put your balance sheet and income statements. Quite possibly the largest issue for customers would be their privacy. Not many people want to feel like they're being spied on, but we all are. It is extremely difficult to outlaw any kind of data harvesting on social media, just because when you put something on there, from an IT background, we call it open source. It's fair game for us to take it now. And that just makes it a lot easier. We can then program to make programs just to show up per people's name that start with a B or something. And it just, you can target people. And then, so there's an act called the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, which forces the companies to get your consent before sending you a message. This goes on whether it be through the terms of service, when you click I accept but you don't read, you're giving them consent. Or when you order a pizza and you set up an account on Papa John's and you say, yes, I want to accept the mobile text for coupons, that you're giving them your consent to send you messages. And then by there, they have your number, so they can go off of that.
In conclusion, laws could be revised and added as needed to slow marketers from crossing legal boundaries. To focus more on co-creation, marketers should focus more on co-creation rather than just money. An increase in websites for mobile devices means traffic would increase, earning them money and improving customer and company relationship.
All right, any questions? Okay, I have a couple. One of the things that I think that is happening is I think we become fascinated with whatever is the new object of, sort of the shiny bauble that we can attach to. And I remember when email first really got started and people started having an email account, and I couldn't wait to go check my email. And now I absolutely hate checking my email. I mean, it's almost, it was like when I became an adult, I used to like to go check my mail. And then you start getting bills in the mail and you don't really like checking your mail anymore. And email was like that. It was, you were connecting with friends, you were able to send these messages very quickly. Now I'm like a man going to the gallows to check my email. So as a result, I don't put my UCO email on my phone. But are we cluttering up what we're doing is we're just shifting basically the method. Are we all going to start to hate our phones and start to opt out?
I could see that. As the iPad came out, people all flew to the iPad, but they slowly started to decline because it's bulkier than their phone. So as soon as something comes out, such as Google Glasses or something that's more convenient than your phone, I would imagine that then people would slowly shift to that and get tired of their phone.
Yeah, but I think the thing that you like about this is that it's not junked up yet.
Yeah.
When you start getting 100 text messages a day from people that you don't want, and it's hard, to get them to opt out or whatever, I think you might start to hate this device as much as you hate going and checking your email, right?
Yes.
And then what are we going to shift to? Google Glass or?
Like I said, technology is always changing, so you can't really even think about what would be next because they just come out with new stuff. But yes, sir, I do believe there will be something else to switch to.
Why don't we talk about Snapchat and Twitter? What do you think the limitations are from a marketing standpoint with Snapchat and Twitter? Who had the Snapchat and Twitter? What do you think the limitations are with marketing on Snapchat and Twitter?
In regards to marketing, I think that's because applications have a pretty bad job of advertising for persons. They have shifted more person to person because of the filter. So
I think. What about the length?
They're always going to be shorter, more concise keywords, so they draw your attention quicker. Whereas on a mobile phone, you have less space to write your message out. Whereas on a computer ad, you have a whole screen that you can.
Yeah, I think the limitation there is the size of what you can do, which may be problematic for more complex things. But it's very easy for particularly. So we talk about different types of goods. I think for convenience products, it really works well because they know if you opt in where you're at, if you're going by. So things like the Starbucks. It can be very, like, hey, there's a Starbucks close, and you can use it for something like that. One of you talked about targeting, and you talked about demographics. Do you think that's actually demographics, or is it psychographics that they're using when they capitalize? I think it's definitely psychographics, because they're really looking at a complex set of stuff that is your preferences and things that you want and lifestyles and behaviors. All right, very good. Thank you. And by the way, your slides are really good because they're not cluttered. I really like that, so you'll do a good job on slide presentations. We'll do 8, 9, and 10 on Thursday. If you did not sign the roll sheet, I have it, so be sure and sign it. We had very low attendance last time, so I will get to those. I had a bunch of papers to grade, so hopefully I'll get to bring those to you who were here last time. Your bonus points up just as quickly as I can. All right, see you on Thursday.